At the Table Group, our mission is we want to redeem the world of work. And we want to make life, work, less frustrating and more fulfilling. Let's be honest, one of the things that can be most frustrating at work is meetings. When you felt called to ministry, you probably didn't picture how much time you would be spending in a meeting. You probably didn't think about all the time that you would be spending leading volunteers in meetings, recruiting people, leading morning huddles on Sunday mornings. But meetings are so important. Meetings actually can clarify direction. They can catalyze energy. They can help us innovate and pioneer. Meetings are where people can feel connected. It's where we can get alignment about how we are going and where we are going and why it matters. So today, I want to talk about 3 questions we should be asking in every meeting. If you're a team leader, if you're leading a group of volunteers or staff, these are questions you could clarify in the front end. And if you're a participant, these are questions you could ask your team leader so that you are less frustrated, so you know how you can show up, so that you know how you can steward your energy, how you can best leverage your time, and how you can make the most out of your time together. Now, before I get started, it's worth reminding you that every leader is tempted to let the meeting drift towards their genius. If you have the genius of invention and discernment, you're going to drift towards every meeting feeling like it's a whiteboard meeting. If you have the genius of enablement tenacity, you're going to drift towards meetings that are super scheduled and where you get things done. But as a reminder, the working genius shows us that all of work has to move through 6 phases of work. Now, if you have 2 geniuses, that means that 4 out of 6 meetings aren't necessarily going to line up with your genius. That doesn't mean that you get to skip the meeting. That doesn't mean the meeting's not important. It means that you know how to show up. Maybe it means you know when it's time for you to sit on your hands. And maybe it shows where it's time for you to raise your hand and say, I actually think I could add value there. Let's dive in to the 3 questions you should ask about every meeting. Number 1, when you show up to a meeting, when you plan a meeting, when you put that meeting on the calendar, you should be asking, what phase of work are we in? In fact, there's a few churches that we've been working with that actually in their Outlook calendar or their Google calendar will put what type of meeting this is. They'll say, we're having an enablement tenacity meeting, which means that the people with wonder and invention know they're showing up not to come up with new ideas, but to figure out how to get this thing across the finish line. Clarify, what phase of work are we in? When you're meeting with the group of volunteers, clarify in the front end, hey, our purpose today is to rally everybody around this big idea and help us know what to do next. That's a galvanizing and enablement meeting. Clarify the purpose of the meeting. All right, the second question we should be asking about every meeting is who should be in the room? Now, if all you had was this tool and you looked at it like it was really black and white, you might think, oh gosh, we shouldn't include people with enablement tenacity in these wonder invention meetings. But we don't necessarily think that's true. We think that the tool is going to help us discover self-awareness. It's going to help us know how we move through these 6 phases of work, and it's going to help us know who to include. It's not giving us an excuse to exclude people. No, everybody on our team still needs to be communicated where we're at in the process. And then talk about it openly as a team. If you have folks with enablement tenacity and you're about to do an 8-hour wonder session, maybe they don't need to be there, but they should know that it's happening and they should have the permission to be able to opt out if that's what they need. Just because somebody has the genius of wonder and invention doesn't mean they should never be in the room when you're talking about galvanizing. Doesn't mean you should exclude them from being in the lobby or on the stage, but it does mean you should be looking for other people to elevate. Listen, there's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of influence. There's plenty of chance for impact out there. Have a mindset of who do we include? How do we lift other people up? So I'm asking, what stage are we at in the process? And then who do we need to include? Listen, this is going to feel more like art than science, and you're going to need to get regular feedback from each other as you think about this way of living and working together, which leads me to the 3rd question, which is very simple. Every person showing up to every meeting should be asking, how can I help? There's going to be times where you can help by leading. There's going to be times that you can help by sitting on your hands, okay? If you're an inventor and it's not time to invent, if you're in a galvanizing meeting, you're rallying the volunteers, this is not the time to come up with a new idea. There's going to be times where some of you who have a more passive voice, how you can help is have the courage to speak up. Sometimes how you can help is to respect one another's geniuses and call out what somebody else might be thinking. So evaluate. What phase are we at in the process? Who needs to be in the room? And then you, leader, contributor, pastor, how can you help? Meetings are a really big deal. They're how we come up with new ideas and get them across the finish line. And people being included and bought in and over-communicated creates trust. And here's what I know. Trusting teams who lead great meetings have the potential to make a great impact.